Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion. As others have said, it's an important motion, and ordinarily, once this motion is moved by the majority and gets the backing from the leadership of the minority, it quickly becomes a point of convergence and calls upon us to remain brief so that we can discharge the business. However, because of what has transpired this afternoon, I wish to make a few comments. The first one, Mr. Speaker, is that yes, on our side, the majority, we have not changed the names. We had reason to do so. And on the side of the minority, changes have been made. I am confident that the leadership of the minority did the necessary consultations to arrive at these changes. And if such a consultations were not done, that should not be expected to be solved on the floor of the House. And even if one wanted to achieve the same, it is not possible because the motion that is being moved is the motion as it is with the names as stated. Mr. Speaker, Senator Wambua is very loud and clear about his expectations on his side. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to assure members of Jubilee, should it come to pass that you will leave the minority side and come to the majority side, I'm ready and willing to assign you responsibilities in various committees. You will be warmly received. You will enjoy the same privileges, if not better, than you are enjoying on the other side. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the minority side. The minority side in the last session, they have taken issues blow by blow. They have supported the things they were convinced they needed to support and opposed when they had to. If we carry this maturity to the current session, Mr. Speaker, I'm confident that we will help the House Business Committee to discharge more business for us for the interest of the public. Mr. Speaker, 3 points. The first one is that we must get business going because, Mr. Speaker, we have inherited a country that is faced by serious problems. As government, we have inherited a country that is facing severe insecurity in the Rift and in the north of the country. We need to fix it, and it's only this Parliament that can give the necessary infrastructure. We have inherited a country that has a total economic mess. It requires a lot of fixing. The President has proposed even budgetary cut-downs so that we can see how best to get the economy going. The President is very loud, and correctly so, that all Kenyans must pay taxes. Mr. Speaker, I remember with nostalgia President Mwai Kibaki. He was also very clear and firm that companies, people, small and large, should pay taxes. We did so, and we turned the economy. It's just a matter of time. If companies are going to pay taxes, we will turn our economy for the interest of the minority and the interest of the majority. And that's where we want to take our country. Mr. Speaker, we have inherited a country that the government has left the education sector in total chaos. Mr. Speaker, they have even introduced a program called the CBC. I make it a point to do spot checks all the time in my county. And when I talk to the teachers about CPC, Mr. Speaker, the teachers tell me they don't know this thing. When I talk to the parents, Mr. Speaker, the parents are telling me we cannot afford. Mr. Speaker, when I talk to the students and the pupils are saying, especially the primary school children are saying, Mr. Speaker, that we don't know. I don't know whether I was number 1, number 2, number 7 or number last. Where was I? So I asked them, what is the problem? He says, me, I used to beat Maria. Now I don't know whether Maria did better than me or so on. So this confusion requires time. And I want to encourage the special committee that His Excellency put in place, led by Professor Munavu, my lecturer of the University of Nairobi, to be firm and realistic and make recommendations that will deliver our children to the dreams of their lives, and not decisions that are going to help some business people who thought they could make a quick kill through the education sector to make an extra bag. Mr. Speaker, as we go into this committee to bring here business, I want to draw it to the members of this House that if we are not going to be very serious, somebody is starting to think that Senate is not up to it. Mr. Speaker, one of the cardinal bills this House is supposed to deliver is the Division of Revenue Bill that decides how much money will remain with the national government vis-a-vis the devolved structure. Mr. Speaker, it should not surprise any senator who has refused to follow current affairs that somebody is starting to think that we are not doing it. If the governors were confident that we can do this job of division of revenue, why would they be disturbing the deputy president in meetings of IBEC, asking the deputy president that they be given more money? Why would they go further and also disturb the president when they know that the division of revenue is our responsibility? The National Treasury is saying it can only give 480 billion. The Commission of Revenue Authority, which is our technical arm, not the technical arm of the executive under this constitution, is saying you should accept 407. And the national government through Treasury is saying, the National Treasury is saying 380. The Commission of Revenue Allocation is saying 407. And the governors want 425. This conversation should not be taking place at State House or at retreats chaired by the president. Those conversations are supposed to take place in the Senate through the Committee of Budget and Finance, so that the National Treasury can come and state its case, CRA the same, the Council of Governors the same, and then our committee will inform this House and we shall decide how much money we shall allocate to the division of. So we are allowing ourselves to look like we are irrelevant. We are looking like we are not up to it. I look at some of the governors. I respect them. Some of them are my younger brothers. But they have no idea how revenue is divided between the two levels of government. They are walking in corridors, going to see the chief minister, going to see the minister of finance, going to see the deputy president, hoping that they will get an access to the president. That is not the way. Let them talk to us. That is our job. They cannot take away our job and they go in funny meetings, in funerals, and saying how it is them who get money to go to counties, since when and how. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by speaking to the last point. The last point is what has transpired this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, I beg you, you're my younger brother, and I've worked with you for many years. Do not allow this Senate to be defined by the immaturity and excitement of just a few potatoes. Mr. Speaker, I saw you pained on how you would speak to the issue of menstruation that was being canvassed on the floor of the House. It should never happen again. We know that our girls are suffering because of the challenges of poverty due to menstruation. But at the same time, Mr. Speaker, we also have Kenyans who are suffering because they don't have toilets. So are you going to expect a male senator to come here having defecated on himself, walking on stool, to show that people don't have toilets at home? Would you tolerate him? You cannot. And let me tell some of these young senators, we will not allow you. We are not going to be demeaned collectively. We'll call you out. Mr. Speaker, I recall, and that time you were with me in the National Assembly. A young member of parliament came very excited to the House one afternoon. You were there, I was there. In tatters. He came with rags of clothes looking like a chokora. The sergeant at arms tried to throw him out. The guy struggled. He was playing to the gallery in the streets here that they will say, we have elected an MP who goes to the House in rags like us and therefore is representing us. He did it. He was thrown out the way you have thrown out Senator Gloria. And that member of parliament, whose name I wouldn't wish to mention here, has tried to win an election in Nairobi. He has even changed constituencies. The voters who he thought he was representing and impressing have said no. If Gloria wants to begin a career in politics, she will have to do it differently. And I appeal this to all of us. I look at a mama, Senator Mama, like Kavindu, that what must have been going through her mind when she saw her own daughter doing what she was doing. We shouldn't allow that collective embarrassment to colleagues. Mr. Speaker, I am glad that in the National Assembly, you have a strong legal mind. And in this House, you are equally a strong legal minds. Let these two houses converge so that where the National Assembly is right, we support. We don't fight them simply because we want to be seen to be the upper house. A lower house can have an upper idea. And an upper house can have an inferior idea. The reason will not be because the house is called lower and the other one is called upper. It is because if the members of parliament in the upper house have inferior ideas, the inferior ideas will define the upper house, and there's no way it will outshine the lower house. If the intention is to picket, there is room for picketing. If she had asked me, Mr. Speaker, I would have helped her how to picket on the same thing. I got her in the corridors. I'm a doctor of medicine. I pulled her to Senator Dulo's office that please change. She told me, no, I'm going to show them. If she wanted to picket, Mr. Speaker, she would have bought a ribbon, very well designed, and the ribbon she would have won. I would have won one ribbon for her. Several of us would have won to send a message to our children that we care. The ribbon would have been written on, support the poor children who have challenges during menstruation. People must behave with decorum. If they are not prepared, let them resign and go away. And I can assure the Secretary General of UDA, as your chief whip, oh, she's around, thank you, madam. As your chief whip, I will insist that you direct me and I help you. I direct you, you help the president, you help the deputy president to cease this embarrassment so that people we nominated must know that we sweated for those positions that afforded them a chance to be nominated. I support.
Senator Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,